We'll start the recording. Okay. All right, so Hare Krishna. So this is the final installment here of taking Shelter of Krishna, and try to wrap things up today. And we'll see. I'm not sure if we might end a little early like Rajvi Hari Prabhu did, because we'll see what we've got going here. But yeah, so we talked about last time. We talked about about how Krishna, how we can feel confident. Well, actually, last time we talked about some fear about Krishna is that really accepting us. And we had a couple of fears that we might have that restrict us or inhibit us from taking shelter of Krishna. We talked in the last couple of times. We talked about that maybe we're, Krishna may love us, but how do we take care of ourselves? We're living in a dangerous world. And so we talked about Krishna's protection. And then last time we talked about why Krishna will love us even though we seem to be less than perfect. These kind of things. So we can be confident in those two things, which are really important to taking shelter. And so we're going to kind of pick up from there. And so if we are actually confident that Krishna loves us, okay, then we have the basis here for having real self-esteem. I really think that if one of the things that give people the closest thing to genuine self-esteem is if they feel love and connection with others. Sometimes you'll hear somebody who maybe didn't have a lot of support in their lives, and they've somehow become successful, and they'll point to somebody, a teacher or a relative or somebody who really had faith in them, and they'll say how much that mattered to them. So we're talking about real self-esteem, and so pride can't come from this particular notion, even though it's, wow, Krishna loves me, right? Because Krishna doesn't love me alone; he loves everybody. So that doesn't set us apart. So pride is something that sets us apart from others, right? But this is something that can make us feel really secure in ourselves. Right, that we're something valuable, somebody especially as wonderful as Krishna actually genuinely truly loves us, then how can we feel that we don't have value? Krishna, he sees more than us, he knows more than us. And if that's his genuine opinion, then we have to feel like we have value. I can't imagine anything that could give us greater esteem than that, more secure self-esteem than that. And when we can feel or understand Krishna's love for us and open our hearts to that, and I would say that the empty space that we're living with, right? Prabhupada talked about that when we come into this material world, our capacity to love turns into desire and emptiness. It's an inner emptiness that makes us feel that we have to seek happiness. And I'll tell you what, that inner emptiness, when we look outside ourselves, we look with that emptiness integrated in. We see the emptiness outside because we feel it inside. It becomes a real pervasive part of our psychology and just our existence. So there's nothing that fills the empty space. There's nothing really that we want more actually than love. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami used to say that every action, you can see it as either an expression of love or a call for love. It's really the thing that we're really looking for, even though we're trying to find different other ways to satisfy the emptiness. But really deep inside, we know that that's what's missing. And there's nothing that's more satisfying. There's nothing that relieves that emptiness more than love. And so if that's coming from Krishna, we should start to feel less empty. We should start to feel a little more wholeness, a little more security and fullness. We really should. And then if we feel, the other thing we we talked about is things going here is if we are confident of Krishna's protection. Okay, so we talked kind of about three things, and there's two parts to the protection. But if we feel confident of Krishna's protection, that he's looking out for us, because we have that, there's a certain insecurity that comes. I mean, Sam, you've seen some interesting situations, right? Where where safety isn't always guaranteed, and any place you are, it's that way. There's disease, there's all kind of things that can happen. You can, there's car crashes and this and that. There's always as prophets a danger at every step. But sometimes, if you're in certain, I lived in Detroit for quite a while, and there was, if you we had a nice little park at the end of the street, down the street from the temple, but you didn't want to go down there at night unless you were a pretty, a pretty confident and tough person. You might run into somebody who's a lot tougher than you. And so it was, a little, pretty tough place, And so if we're confident of Krishna's protection, that he's really going to try to look out for us, then we can relax our hypervigilance because of this feeling, right? That we're in a big world that's out of our control. We can't control what's going to happen. We try to control our little space as much as we possibly can, but it's just too big. There's too many other things going on. We can't control other people. We can't control large events. What can we do? Even people living here in Potomac, they oftentimes they're pretty well off, materially and financially, but then, what's going to happen? Is the stock market going to crash? They can't control it. What's going to happen with this part of the economy or that, and you just don't know. They're part of a big corporation that suddenly goes under. So there's all kinds of things, and so we have a certain, I call it hypervigilance. It's like almost like the fight or flight response is too much integrated into our lives, and we're trying to make sure we get information as soon as possible and trying to see how we can prevent any kind of reversals and things. But if we feel that Krishna has us and is really working to help us, we can at least relax that hypervigilance. Right? It doesn't mean we don't take reasonable precautions. We don't, I'm going to run out in front of traffic because Krishna is going to protect me. We don't want to make Krishna be our servant, right? But we have a tendency to worry, and be hypervigilant. And so we can worry less, and we can just take normal precautions. It's possible for us to do that. And then if we're confident of Krishna's benevolent guidance, and this was the other part of the protection, right? That Krishna is guiding our lives. He's bringing things to us, and he's also helping us inside to give us instructions. Because we mentioned that people who've taken shelter of Krishna, they don't always have every wonderful thing happen to them. Sometimes they have reversals. Sometimes they suffer, some difficulties. And we talked about how Krishna is arranging these things in order to help us to get rid of obstacles for our ability to love. He's finding ways, it's either kind of especially designed karma that he sends to us to help us to check our hearts, to cleanse our hearts, to open our hearts. And so even things that are reversals aren't necessarily obstacles. There's actually opportunities. And plus inside, as the super soul, he's helping to guide us and to show where we should go and what we should do. And previously, Dana had asked me about how can you distinguish between your mind and Krishna's guidance, which is a good question. But usually the mind is up here in the head. And Krishna guides through, it's called the buddhi, or the intelligence, as Prabhupada translates. And it's more in the heart. It's our power of understanding. So when Krishna gives us some insight, we'll feel it on a deeper level, and we'll understand it, and it'll feel more secure in that. So Krishna helps us as the super soul. And even externally, we can also receive information from others that'll resonate with us. And, we'll get guidance as to how we should move through our lives. Because that's the other thing we know. We don't know the future. We don't know what we should do. Should I do this? Should I do that? What's going to happen? Another thing that occupies our mind and attention so much. So if we feel that Krishna is guiding what happens to us, protecting us from unnecessary dangers, and even if things are not coming as we desire, that there's actually a built-in opportunity there, that Krishna is trying to remove the obstacles. We've decided we want to be connected with him. We decide we want to be part of his existence that's based on love. But because we've been stuck in this dimension for so long and are so attached to it, it's difficult for us to get out of it. We've built up so many structures that hold us back, that keep us distracted from this purpose. And so then Krishna sometimes arranges for circumstances that become conducive for us to free ourselves from the artificial things that we created for ourselves. I've got a little quotation here. This is from my spiritual master, His Grace Ravinda Swarupa Prabhu, that he wrote this paper a long time ago, and I think I find it quite lovely. He says, at the same time, if we show some perseverance in the matter, it means we're trying to connect with Krishna, always begging Krishna to destroy our desires to enjoy independently in this world. So trying to get rid of the obstacles that we have. It says Krishna will reciprocate with us and give us guidance from within. In this way, the devotee becomes acquainted with the infinitely caring and carefully guiding presence of Krishna, a presence that becomes the solace of the devotee's heart. So in this way, the devotee becomes acquainted with the infinitely caring and carefully guiding presence of Krishna, a presence that becomes the solace of the devotee's heart. So it's something that begins to come alive in our lives. That shelter becomes a palpable fact. We can feel it. So if those things are happening, right? If we can feel the protection, the love, and the guidance, then there's a huge amount of head and also heart space that becomes kind of freed up, opened up, and it allows us to have space for a deeper spiritual experience. Part of the main thing that's hurting us is our distraction. I can't remember I can't remember now. It was a very famous poet. Was it T.S. Eliot? No, maybe not. But anyway, it's a very famous poet. He said, distracted from distraction by distraction. This is back before we had any kind of the distractions we have now. This is long before so much technology. And even then, he was thinking that we're distracted from distraction by distraction. And that's our whole situation. Our world really, each person sees the world in a different way. They experience the world in a different way. Our world really is what we pay attention to. In a tangible, palpable way. It's out there. It's an objective reality. But the one that we experience depends so much upon our subjective reality. Depends so much on what are we paying attention to. And that's at least theoretically a choice. But also it's difficult to break the momentum and the break our habits. And so right now our life is very cluttered, partially because of the hyper vigilance, hyper worry, the emptiness that we feel needs to be filled, and how we can do that, and questions about what we should do, what we should do next. And so Krishna can open up some space there. can remove some of these distractions. His presence can come into our lives. And we're set in that case to begin to deepen our spiritual experience. That's really what's supposed to happen here. This is what the shelter means. We take shelter. We can open up a new space by getting rid of some of these things that aren't really serving us very well. We can open a space to try then to connect with this deep love. That's our birthright. That's the nature of reality. Krishna created existence. He's the creator of existence. His sat potency, his existence itself. He's existing for the purpose of love. And we're living in a world that doesn't show that at all, hardly. So it's a desire, a world of desire, a world of conflict, a world of anger and frustration. But it's because this place is where we have freedom to choose. But we can tune into the actual reality even here and now. Okay. So yeah, so if we can feel confident that the purpose of existence is love, and that we are created for love, we can feel eager to try to use that empty space that we get by taking shelter of Krishna to encounter both Krishna's love and our own ability to love can increase. But according to every information that we have, we're souls, eternal spiritual sparks or anshas, parts of Krishna. Ansha is the word Krishna uses, a little spark of his, a portion of himself. And our essential nature, or dharma. Dharma means the thing that the essence of something. Like Prabhupada says, the essence of fire is heat and light. Something that can't be separated from itself is to love. That's what we are, really. And it's only through this really, it's something only Krishna can do, this power of Maya or distraction that has allowed us to detach from that innate power of love. That's what we do. Just like fire can't be cold and it can't be dark. We can't help but radiate love and feel and radiate love. But we do, because Krishna is so mystical and magical. He can find a way to distract us enough from that it's there, but we can't experience it. Our attention is drawn to this other stuff. So we lose ourselves in this other stuff. Like, so we have that experience sometimes if we're, I mean, somebody's watching a very intense movie, or there's, playing a video game. You get a little kid playing a video game, and you cannot reach them. I told you about my friend in college who his brain would get sucked by the TV, just backing right up, and he wouldn't be there any longer, And here he was a real person, right? But he forgot that he was even there once the television was on. So we forget ourselves, we lose ourselves in something. And so we've lost ourselves in this alternative reality. But the fact that it's our essence to be loving and to feel love and to receive and give love means that it's something that's doable for us. That should give us some real confidence there, because we can't, because it's if it's part of us, if it's who we are, it's not something we're trying to attain. It's not something that we're trying to develop or acquire. It's already there. We just want to remove the distraction. We want to ease ourselves out of the distraction and come to realize, oh, it's right there. Somebody so when the lights come on from a really captivating movie, oh, here I am in the theater, and there's these other people around. I forgot even that they were there. You didn't have to attain the theater. You just had to come out of the distraction. So There's one thing more that I kind of wanted to focus on a little bit today. And a third thing that creates even greater space in the heart and in the mind, that allows us to connect deeper with the spiritual reality, deeper with Krishna's love and our power to love. And I'm going to call that, I call it genuine humility. Because the word humility sometimes is kind of a complicated thing, a little bit like surrender. Oftentimes when we talk about humility, we think about being humiliated. That's feeling really bad about ourselves. Somebody smashes our pride. We are humbled or we are humiliated and we feel really bad about ourselves. It's used in different ways. Usually if someone is described as humble, it's kind of usually a compliment in some way. But if you're humbled or humiliated or it's kind of, sometimes it doesn't feel so good. Or you think that in order to be humble, you have to feel bad about yourself. But genuine humility is quite a different thing. And I'll try to explain how that works. Because you'll hear this word so much in our spiritual philosophy, humility. So I want to make sure you understand what it is and where it comes from. And then also a little bit why it's so useful. Okay. So yeah, usually we're thinking humility as being equivalent to low self-esteem. And it just isn't the case at all. So the way I look at it, that pride and low self-esteem are two sides of the same coin. They're the same thing. They're just expressed in two different ways. They coexist in the same environment, and that I don't believe they exist without the other. It just depends. Which one is dominant and shows up at a given time depends upon the relative proportions of the pride and the low self-esteem. And I think the low self-esteem is the root condition, right? So, because you see, if people are really proud, it's easy to make them feel insecure, to make them angry if you just poke their pride a little bit. I think that shows the insecurity that lurks underneath. That people are trying to be something so badly because they're afraid they're not. It's important to be somebody and to be better than others because they're inside, they don't feel secure. Because bullies, feel very insecure. I think it's in there. And then, and so you'll see that if somebody's pride is somehow really blown out, something happens that causes them to lose face, right? Then they have the low self-esteem. They feel really, really bad about themselves. And then if somebody has low self-esteem, but they're sufficiently harassed, eventually they'll say, no, I'm somebody too. You can't do this to me. Finally, you just blow up and so then you try to have some pride. Right? It comes out that so it's in this world, because we're tiny and because we've become self-absorbed in a very powerful way. We want to be somebody, but it's hard not to think that you are because there's so much competition. Right? So I think all by nature, when we come into this world, there's a feeling that I don't matter. There's an underlying doubt about our self-worth. That's the kind of the root of everything. And so we fluctuate between pride, trying to show that, no, I am somebody really, but then, oh God, I'm nobody. And so it flips back and forth. So it's the same thing with this underlying insecurity. And it's just the same thing. So when we can't take the self-esteem, we try to push forward our pride and find ways that we can think I'm somebody and show that I'm somebody and feel that I'm somebody. And then when that's not happening, then or if I've been, I failed to be able to do that very well, then I feel, oh geez, I'm just a nobody. So it's really the same thing. And it's interesting that there's this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in the 11th canto. And there's a discussion between Krishna and his friend Uddhava. It's like a more detailed Bhagavad Gita. Instead of Arjuna, it's Uddhava. Instead of being on the battlefield, there's a place where they can just sit and talk for a long time. So it gets more detailed. And in one place, Uddhava says that only somebody only a devotee, somebody who has real self-esteem, says can tolerate the insults of a low-class person. Right? If somebody who, you have a certain level of pride and somebody who you see as lower than you insults you, you become really upset. Don't you realize, who I am? I have to take the stuff from you. Who are you to say something to me? And so that's because the devotees, they have what I'm going to call they have the genuine self-esteem, which means, they don't feel pride, but they feel secure. So somebody is secure, people can say what they want to say, and it's not affecting your self-esteem. You can, if they're saying the truth, you can accept it. And if they're not, well, you can understand people have certain perspectives. But it doesn't affect you so deeply. When we have pride and low self-esteem, people's opinions matter. And so just the fact that somebody you see as lesser than you is speaking to you in an unkind way, makes you feel like, hey, this is an attack on my self-worth. It's not like that. So genuine humility and genuine self-esteem, they're connected in a similar way that low self-esteem and pride are. But they're not inversely proportional. It's not one or the other. They both exist at the same time harmoniously. And genuine self-esteem is the root. Okay? Genuine, just like I think the doubt about our self-worth is the root in the pride and low self-esteem, because we're small creatures in the big world. It's natural for us to really doubt. It really takes some act of hubris to think that we're somebody really, really special. It's something we have to really force ourselves into to get deep into the pride. And the low self-esteem is pretty easy to fall back into. So the genuine self-esteem that here I am, I'm loved by Krishna, therefore I have to have worth, is the root of it. And then the humility comes from the feeling that it's coming from Krishna, so it's therefore so valuable in giving us self-esteem, but also we can't really feel like we deserve it. We have it, but it's something that's wondrous and amazing. Like if somebody treats you in a way that you feel is even better than you possibly could deserve, and they really mean it, you feel this kind of deep gratitude that makes you feel small in a beautiful way. You'll see if you have award ceremonies and stuff, people use this expression that I don't think is meant very sincerely most often, or very often these days. They'll say, I'm humbled by this award, or I'm humbled by the response that I got for this. And many times they're probably really thinking that, I deserved more, or it's about time. But really, that expression came from a genuine phenomenon. If somebody appreciates you or something about you even more than you could expect, and it comes from somebody who you really respect, your gratitude will come in, and you will feel small in a very beautiful, wonderful way. This is genuine humility. I usually say I'm humbled, right? Not humiliated, but humbled. That, wow, that's just amazing. And so if we have some idea uh, uh, of how wonderful Krishna is and his genuine appreciation of us and love for us, that appreciation and gratitude turns into genuine humility. And that genuine humility is this like deep satisfaction. It's coming from, something that could make you more satisfied than anything. But you feel that it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that someone of the stature of Krishna, the supreme being, the most wonderful being ever, not only loves you, but cares for you and wants to interact with you. And you just feel like, wow, that's just impossible. It's true, but it's just impossible. So this is the feeling. And so you feel, I said, you can feel very tiny. The in the Shikshastakam, they have this thing where it says you feel lower than the grass. And so it sounds like a painful thing, like, oh, I feel like I'm nobody. But no, it's a feeling of just tremendous joy. This and in this situation, your heart is so open. In this situation, you feel so satisfied, so saturated. Your self-esteem is so wonderful that you can easily appreciate everybody else. You're no longer in conflict with anybody else. You're just set. And you just feel like, wow, I'm so fortunate. Because we really can't believe that we deserve it. It's something special about Krishna's heart that has us love us. It's this wonderful thing about Krishna. His heart is so gigantic. His heart is so open that he can think that we are significant. Even though, objectively, we're just one of countless numbers of souls. He thinks every one of us is. Krishna doesn't love everyone. He loves each and every one. Difference. He doesn't just look at everybody, oh, I have love for everybody. But no, he has love for each individual. His love for us is individual. And that should make us feel wonderful. And it should make us feel humbled. Like, wow. I couldn't have even dreamed of such a thing. I definitely can't think that, hey, I was worthy of that, but it's true. I can guarantee it's guaranteed. And so you said you feel this, it's a beautiful, it's an ecstasy, a beautiful feeling of smallness and joy. This is so genuine self-esteem goes with this genuine humility. If we appreciate it and are grateful for it, then we become, wow, it just blows our minds. And it leaves because our ego now is very small and joyful. There's all this space that opens up for us to feel and express love of our own. See, the rest of all the distraction just kind of just begins to melt away. This opens the heart, opens the space in the heart and in the mind. It just frees up so much, that particular feeling. So I want to pick up a little bit on where we left off also. Yes, last week we talked about this kind of thing, right? That if we were going to not feel judgmental, because this is one of the things, if we can believe that Krishna really loves us, we have to find a way to not be so judgmental. Because I'll tell you, if we're judgmental of ourselves or of others, we're actually always judgmental of both. And so sometimes people are more inclined to judge themselves and give other people a break. But even if they're trying that, that if there's judgment on one side, they're still being critical of others, either silently or in the background. And if you're critical of others, you'll also, you can't escape it yourself, even if you're trying to justify yourself and shit. Oh, I see all these faults in other people. You're trying to keep it on the down low, but your mind is telling you, oh, I know you did this. I know you did that. I saw that. I did this. And you're trying to say, no. I'm focusing on others. But in the background, your mind is passing judgment on you. And so we said last time we had to try to start to see others as Krishna sees them, to see through the superficial part and see ourselves as Krishna sees us, through the superficial part into the part that's soul, that's based in love. It doesn't mean that we don't take note and react to the superficial part, but when we look to the value of the other person, we see that there is eternal soul that's loved by Krishna and has this capacity for great love, and it never changes. And so if we want to be able to start to access this feeling of genuine self-esteem, this is really important. We have to be able to feel confident that Krishna can love us, that there's something there, and that Krishna can love others. In the same way, because if we think, oh, Krishna only loves me, or this person's not worthy of it, we'll also, that means we're looking on the surface, and we won't be able to not judge our own self, our superficial stuff. Because if we look on the surface, it's plenty of stuff to be critical of. If we want to be critical. So Krishna's judgment is coming because he sees who we really are. So we need to be able to start to see, at least in theory, who others really are. We still have to deal with the external stuff. That's all right. But be able to see the real value there. So if we do that, we can become convinced that we and all other souls are made to radiate love. And if we can begin to see that, we'll see that we're surrounded. We have love inside and out. We're filled with love, and everybody else is, even though it doesn't look like it. But we're absorbed in the externals. We're disconnected from our hearts. People are disconnected from theirs. But in reality, there's souls all around us. Every living being is a soul and has this radiant spiritual spark. Not only that's in them, in their bodies, but is them. We're actually surrounded by this radiance of Krishna, of love, divine love. And we can begin to feel it. I said, no, if somebody's walking down the street with a weapon, and looking for trouble, it doesn't mean that you don't get out of the way. Oh, they're just sparks of love, and no, you understand. You understand that the external is acting there, and it might be suitable for you to to kind of disappear quickly. But you don't think that that you understand that person is acting in ways that aren't very helpful to themselves or to others. You understand that, but that Krishna loves them because he sees what's deep inside. It's a shame for themselves and for others that they're disconnected like that. And it's a shame that we're as disconnected as we are, even if we're not causing so much trouble for people. But if we can realize that's our purpose, that's everybody's purpose, and they're their radiance, they're able to radiate love, we're just disconnected. The world starts to look a little different to us. It really does. And then I guess what I want to come through here at the end is also to kind of bring this a little closer. Sometimes we think of Krishna being far away. We talked about how actually he's closer. But time and space, Krishna is not inside time and space. Time and space are inside Krishna. because they're his creation. He's not limited by them. I'll tell you this interesting story. I think this is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But when Krishna appears on earth, he appears in Vrindavan, Mathura, which is right next door. It's within walking distance of Vrindavan, and then in Dwarka, which was on the far western side of India. And he does his pastimes there. Those are little portals from the spiritual world, actually, that open up periodically. They're little. When this material world is destroyed, they're not destroyed. It's like a little place for interface where the spiritual comes into the material. So when Krishna was living in Dwarka, he was there, staying in one of his, I'm not sure if it was the Sudharma meeting house or in one of his palaces. He was there, and Lord Brahma came to him, the head demigod of the universe, came to see him, and he approaches, and there's somebody, a doorman is there, and he says, Brahma says, I'd like to see Krishna if he's available. And the doorman says, okay, yes, I'll go tell. He knows this is Brahma, and he goes and tells Krishna that he wants to see him. The doorman comes out and he says, so which Brahma are you? Now, there's one in every universe. So it's pretty clear, right? You're in this universe, it's the Brahma in this universe. They usually don't travel between universes. And so Brahma's a little puzzled, and he says, he says, I'm the Brahma. I have 4 heads, and I'm the father of the Chatushana, the 4 Kumaras, if he calls it. And so it says that's my. So he tries to give some distinguishing information there, distinguishes him from other Brahmas. And so doorman comes back and says, okay, you can come in, no problem. And so he comes in, and Krishna says, so you wanted to see me and about something, and Brahma says, well, yeah, I did, but I have a question. Right? It's like, why did you ask? One universe, one Brahma, we usually stay in the same one. Who else am I going to be? And so Krishna, he took some action to call all the Brahmas, and he gave this Brahma special vision. And so suddenly he saw, and the other ones couldn't see the other ones. But this one, our particular Brahma, he could see suddenly the room was filled with Brahmas. And they were bowing down to Krishna, says, and he could hear their crowns, helmets clanging against each other, making noise. They couldn't experience that. They just thought they were alone with Krishna. So suddenly everybody was there. And the Chaitanya Charitamrita said that the Brahmas didn't all come to this universe. They heard that Krishna was calling them in their own universes, went to the Dwarka in their own universe. That's what they did. They didn't go to any other universe. They went to the Dwarka in their universe. But that Dwarka that's in every universe is actually all one space. It's higher dimensional. It's all one space. From their point of view, their universe is apart. They're alone with Krishna in Dwarka. That Dwarka is higher dimensional. All of the different places are the same place. And it's just a matter of whether you can see or not. So they all came to the same place, which isn't technically in any universe, even though that was their experience. So space doesn't have any meaning for Krishna. Normal space. He's as close as he wants to be. So for us, for them, they had to go to Dwarka and all this kind of stuff. But he's right there. So Krishna is very close to us. It's not that he's radiating love from so far away. He's right. He's also in the heart as the Paramatma. In fact, Prabhupada says that when we become devotees of Krishna, it's no longer Paramatma, but Krishna himself comes in the heart. So in both ways, it's true that Krishna is so close to us. So if we can feel that Krishna is right there, not that he's far away radiating some love, but he's right there, next to our heart. 2 birds in a tree. And plus even the spiritual world is so close. He's right there. There's a verse in the Isha Upanishad also that says that Krishna The Lord, he says, is far away, but he's both near and far at the same time. And he says that while staying in one place, this is just like, this is similar to the Dwarka thing, while staying in one place, not moving, he's able to capture anybody who's running, overtake anybody who's running away. Because it's higher dimensional. He's in every space at once. So he doesn't have to move from where he is, but he's got you. Because any space you're in, he's there already. So he doesn't have to even to run. He's right there. This is you know, this is what it means to be the controller, to be the source of space and time. You can be in any time, any space, and he's already there. In fact, just like he's on all the Dwarkas at once. So he's right there. He just appeared before you. Hey, hello, I'm here. Didn't you see me? You know, you're trying to run. It's like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Everywhere. You can capture everybody running. Yeah, I'm right there. Because wherever you are, he's already is. He already is, because all space is in him in a true sense. So he's there. So he's there. Inside and outside, he's there. He's very close by. We have this capacity for love. Every being has this capacity. That's why we were made for that. So really, one thing we should try to consider is that life as we have ever imagined it, no matter how good we have imagined a possible life, right? We all have, you know, different fantasies and how we think we would like things to go. We've had fantasies in past lives. We've been in this world many, many times, and we've had thoughts, boy, I wish it could be like this. Or if you could have anything you like, if you could have any world you like, what would it look like? What would happen? Who would you be? What would it be? Your biggest fantasy, even if you could get all your past, you know, selves together and you brainstorm, say, what would be the best possible life? What you came up with would pale in comparison to what's reality. Reality is that the existence is for this real love. This is not the love that we know here. It's kind of, that's mixed with desire. That's kind of low level. This is radiant love, where you love Krishna and everybody else. Everybody loves you and Krishna. This is the spiritual dimension. But we can begin to experience that right here. If we begin to take shelter of Krishna and are aware of this, we can gain some space. We can begin to remove some of the distraction. And we can begin to encounter Krishna's presence and Krishna's loving presence. And we can begin to discover that begins to awaken our love. The reason why it's so good and beyond our imagination is because this is the world that Krishna designed for him. And there's nobody smarter than Krishna. There's nobody who has more capabilities. He can make anything he wants. And he's eternal. So nobody could ever come up with anything that equals that. That's why he beats all of our fantasies. And we're a part of it. It's not like, okay, you know, there's Krishna and all of us, and he decided to get the best thing for him. He created us to be a part of it. And the part that we play is essential. In our fully developed state, our capacity to love is completely increasing, and Krishna's is ever increasing. It's not just peaceful. We're going to be peaceful and loving. No, it's like the love, our potential for love, wanting to help, wanting to see the welfare of others and Krishna and others is absolutely increasing all the time. There's this passage in Chaitanya Charitamrita that really illustrates that. It's very beautiful. So anyway, this is the invitation that Krishna is given to us when he says, surrender unto me or take shelter of me. He's saying, look, I'm here. I'm going to help you. If you want to change the way you're doing things, if you're free to keep trying to fill this emptiness inside you that you've had ever since you came into this dimension. You can do that. You can be inclined towards me. You can be disinclined towards me. You can be, against me. You can do whatever you want, and you can do it for as long as you want. But I'm here, and if you just have some inclination, it doesn't mean you have to fully take shelter of me or fully acknowledge me. You just have to start with some even questioning, is it possible? Some slight inclination. And Krishna immediately responds to that. He responds to our desire to be connected. And then he helps us. You heard about that. He helps us. So we have even the tiniest little grain of sincerity towards Krishna. We begin down that path. And Krishna will make his presence known, even very early on. And he'll continue to do it. If we keep this, especially if we keep this attitude of genuine self-esteem and genuine humility. We have a tendency sometimes when we take up spiritual practice to think, now I'm doing it myself. I know this because I've done this. I keep doing it. I met the devotees in around 1980, early 80s, 81, 82. And I became really interested and convinced. I read, so much of the literature. And I was going to the graduate library at the University of Michigan and checking out copies of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I really wanted to do it in a very serious way. I wanted to join the temple and live the monastic life. But I just couldn't handle the discipline. I just couldn't do it, And so I spent some time, some years in that condition, and it finally became so clear to me that that's all I really wanted, that it started to scare me, because that was all I really wanted and I can't do it. It doesn't look very good for the rest of my life. I'm going to be kind of discouraged and depressed and these kind of things. You need to have some optimism. You need to have some desire for what you're doing. And I'm thinking this, I don't really have any desire for anything besides that. And I can't do it. So I thought I was really at a crossroads. I could really see that, I'm kind of okay, but it's not, things aren't going to go good for me in the long run. So there was one day, I prayed to Krishna, and I told him, I said, Krishna, you've given me so many opportunities and a lot of mercy, and I haven't done much with all that. And so there really isn't any reason why you should give me more, given my track record. But this is where I'm at. I'm really desperate at this point. And I can see that the future of my life is not going to be so good. But I can't break through. I can't handle the discipline. I can't do it. And I felt, the clouds didn't open up and Krishna appear, in the sky, or I didn't hear words, but I felt this very strong, palpable feeling of reassurance. Like, don't worry, everything is going to be fine. And within a month, I was living in the temple. It was just magic. And happily, no problem. I went and visited, and it was just I was home and it was over. Krishna, I approached Krishna with my desire to be connected, and I expressed my helplessness. So I gave Krishna permission to act. instead of saying, hey, I'm doing it myself, and I did too, I expressed the desire to be connected more deeply and my helplessness. And Krishna acted. So then once I'm living in the temple, right, I'm having regular sadhana, I'm getting up in the morning and I'm chanting, rounds, I'm doing service, I'm living that kind of life. And I start to think, hey, I'm doing it. Right? I don't need Krishna's constant mercy now, right? Because I'm doing the process. Right? Isn't it? Like, thanks, Krishna. Now I got to start. Now I'm cool. Right? And this is the kind of stuff that happens. We start to think, yeah, I've did this much service. I've done this kind of stuff. I've studied this. I know this. I'm here. We start to forget the miracle of Krishna's love for us. And we start to think that I can deserve this. I can earn this. And then I'm not giving permission for Krishna to act further. He says, okay, you got this. No problem. Like the little child is trying to learn how to ride a bicycle, right? And sometimes the parent is there holding it up and they say, no, I do it on my own. And what happens? Boom. So that happens that way. So this beautiful feeling of genuine humility is like such a superpower in the process of devotional service. You don't feel like you're accomplished. You don't feel like you've done something. You don't feel like you're deserving of something. You feel like you're this most fortunate being who somehow is cared for by Krishna, which makes your life better than you could ever have dreamed. But you stay open, you have space for Krishna to act and to help you to continue to move forward. The opportunity is just unimaginable. We've never imagined it. So we can start very slowly, just with an interest or a beginning. But let Krishna in. Let Krishna help you. Doesn't mean, we act, we chant, we do this because we want to be connected with Krishna. We do service because we want to be connected with Krishna. That's not deserving anything. That's just showing a little bit of, it's showing that we want to, it's just the natural action that you take when you're interested and when you feel a connection. You can never deserve it. It's so beautiful. But Krishna wants you to have it. So, anyway, we're actually at 12 o'clock, and so we're gonna stop it. And if there's comments or questions, please, thank you for coming through all 6 classes. Dana came, she didn't know about the first one. She's been here ever since the last 5 and listened to the first one. So you guys I consider you both to have come through the whole 6 in full. I appreciate that.
Deary, thank you so much. It's always nice to hear you share your vast wisdom of Krishna consciousness. I always learn a lot from you, so I'm very grateful that I was able to attend. I look forward to seeing you in a couple.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back in Potomac here soon.
Yeah, getting back to Bhakti Lounge. I miss you guys, so yeah, I'm excited to be back.
Excellent.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a wonderful class. I loved every minute of it. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to be of some use. Makes me happy. So, all right, thank you so much. And this concludes taking shelter of Krishna, although it's a ongoing process.